Okay, for this assignment, this is the GT 5th grade Social Studies research module. And for this module, the students are supposed to work in a group of up to 5 students, and they're supposed to research information about Maryland Loyalists, Maryland Patriots, price of being loyal to the king, and so on. And the GT office, in collaboration with the Library Information Services Office, has created an online research module, and this is their version of it. This is actually different than when I first presented it to the students last year. As we'll see later, they took some of my thoughts and considerations and revisions into account and actually revised their own website. But this is what they have right now. It's a Patriot Loyalist project, and it's got these different tabs. And this is what the kids are supposed to see and work through. So here's their scenario. This is their task and their product. And it says they're supposed to create a series of articles, video, debate, or Web 2.0 product. But if the kids don't know what Web 2.0 product is, they can click on it, and it takes them to this page. And then the students are then supposed to read through here and pick one that they like. But as you can see, it's quite extensive, and asking a 5th grade student to be able to pick a Web 2.0 tool from that extensive list is quite daunting. But if we go back to the task and product, here's what they have to explain, and then they also have to write another editorial article, and this is how they're going to be assessed. Here are their formative assessments, and here's their rubrics, and you can see here that they have 5 different rubrics, and then that's on the research, and then on the final product they have an additional set of rubrics. So it's very confusing. Here are the essential questions, and then the students are supposed to add questions of their own, but they don't actually have a place to click to put questions of their own. For gather and sort, again, they have a quote student page, but if you click on this, it's a whole list of just disjointed, not kid-friendly, not well-organized lists. And there's a whole bunch of other links. Again, it's just not very kid-friendly or easy to navigate. When they create, they're just told they have to analyze their notes and create notes and synthesize it and reflect, but there's no place for the students to collaborate. They would all have to do it face-to-face. And here's where they will share, but there's nowhere for them to share. And then evaluating. So I just felt as though that was pretty not user-friendly. This is what the teachers get to see. And so what I did is I took everything that was here and I put it onto my classroom wiki, and this is what I came up with. Over here is the background information that tells the students everything they're going to need to know. And I just cut and paste, and I put it in an order that I felt was more beneficial to the students. So this left column is everything that's the background information to get them ready. This middle column is everything they're going to have to do to prepare. And I try to lay it out step by step for them. Step 1, here's how you're going to gather your information. And I've given them lists of websites, and I've also pointed them in the direction of the BCPS fee-based databases, which they're familiar with, and our library media specialist has been working with them on. I felt that it wasn't so important that the students be able to find the resources themselves as it was for them to be able to use the resources effectively. So that's why I have a list. But they're also free to find their own resources. But I wanted to get them started. Then, instead of saying just take notes and leave it really, really open-ended, which is difficult for 10-year-olds, I gave my students a Google document and told them, because it's supposed to be a collaborative process, I told them that they had to work together to complete the document. And this is where the collaboration came into play. Certain students were doing Patriots, some were doing Loyalists, some were researching basic beliefs or economic factors or religion or relationships with the community, and they color-coded it so that it was easy to see who contributed what and how often. Okay, so that allowed the students to work collaboratively online. They could take this outside of the classroom. But not only was there general notes, there was also a document for the people, and they found individual people and they classified them as Patriot Loyalists, and they wrote down the important information. And again, they color coded it according to their names so that it was easy to see who found what. It also made it easier for me in the end to assess who earned what grade based on their participation. After they found did their research and they put the notes online, that they then had to create a bibliography. And plagiarism is something we've talked about in our class, but it's also something the library media specialist has done with them. And so they had to view a BrainPop video on plagiarism, and then I walked them through how to use Microsoft Word to create a bibliography, and then they uploaded it to the wiki so that they had it right here and accessible. After that, so the first column is background information, middle column is getting them ready to write, and then finally the last column is actually making the writing. And what they had to do was they had to review their notes, make sure they had everything they need. They had to draft, and what they did is I made another Google Doc that allowed them to work simultaneously, and their task was to create a newspaper. And they were trying to make different articles. They're each responsible for writing one article and then an editorial of their own, so that each person was responsible for 2 articles. And so they were able to type in this Google document, and the nice part is they were able to work simultaneously on the same document. And they were also able to peer review and read and give feedback to each other on this Google document. It took them a little getting used to, but in the end, they all really appreciated the ability to work on it outside the classroom, because we are so limited on time in the classroom and getting into the computer lab. And then I wanted to make it very easy for them to know how they're going to be assessed. So I put in the checklists, the rubrics for them, so that they could just re-examine them and know how they were going every step of the way. And I tried to make it very easy for them to understand. And this is also what I was able to print out and give them so they had feedback on their work. And so after reviewing it, step 4 was to revise. Again, they had to use the checklist. And then I wanted them to find graphics. They uploaded them to the website, to the wiki, and then they put all of that work. They copied and pasted from the Google Doc, and they put it into a Microsoft Publisher template that they were able to select to make it look like a newspaper. We talked about authenticity, and they were able to create the final product and then upload it to the wiki. So it was a nice mingling, a nice mesh of online and offline collaboration. The students were able to work together in the computer lab at school, but they were also able to extend that learning outside the school. And I think this layout was much more user-friendly. The students were very willing and able and excited to participate in this. They worked on it for quite some time. And I also had a member of the GT office come out, and before I used this with the students, she and I sat down, we looked at it. She was very excited about the work I had done, and they used some of my suggestions and some of my Google documents and so on to revise their version of this assignment.